this is a very quick bean growing guide. As you can see, we're now in July. With this year's weather, things have not grown quite as quickly as we planned or hoped, or as last year, but we do have flowers, so we will soon be getting some delicious beans. Now, we start our beans off in trays, as you can see. These have been fantastic because it means we can start them off a little bit earlier in the potting shed and then plant straight out into the soil, which with the slugs this year, as you can see, there are quite a few, they seem to survive slightly better than if they've been planted as seed straight into the ground. I would say always use fresh seed where you can, because the germination rate is far better, especially if you're direct sowing into the ground, which you can do, but I always find that you have some not come up where you need them, and last year it was really frustrating because a lot of them didn't germinate. I think potentially where we had funny weather early on and slug snails. So yeah, so we've gone this year for using trays to start them off in, planting into the ground, as you can see with the spacing of the canes, about 4 inches, maybe a bit closer if I need to squeeze extra in. And I tend to do, I don't know if you can see, almost like it's a double row, but I make a dip in the middle and then plant the young plants at an angle up towards the cane so that they grow up the cane nicely. These are doing really well. These need to be just sort of tied in a little bit. They'll only need tying in quite low down and then they'll go flying up the canes. These have only been out for a couple of weeks, whereas these have been out since end of April, so a good 2 months now, which is why they're doing so well. But I feed with a seaweed feed probably every 2 or 3 weeks, just because the weather's been so bad, and it really does help. So we'll update you when we get our first beans, but at the moment this is how our bean patch is looking.